Hi, and welcome to The Perfect Show. I'm your host, Scott Maupin. I'm what you might call a perfection prospector, sifting through life looking for little things or experiences that could be considered perfect. Join me each episode as I examine one topic that I'm presenting as a little nugget of perfection. Sports. I'm not much of a sports guy anymore. I mean, I certainly had my phases, both as a player and as a fan, both in my childhood. That was the end of that sentence. Both of those were in my childhood. That's why it's weird to me that I found a totally new sport and then became an avid player and fan of it completely in my adulthood. This sport may be new to you too, and if it is, please allow me to proudly introduce you to the game of park golf. Throughout my childhood, I had played and then quit a number of sports, or rather, I would often hit a ceiling on both my natural athletic ability and my willingness to practice things past when they stopped being fun. But as a kid, I had done t-ball and then baseball, soccer for a little bit early on, basketball for a bit later, and then track in 7th grade as well. All of those were over by high school though, where I was on the high school tennis team for 1 year as a freshman before not making the team again my sophomore year. You know what sophomore me thought of that? Whatever. Because you know what sophomore me thought of pretty much everything? Whatever. But on the fan side of things, as a child growing up in a suburb of Kansas City, I was, of course, into the Royals for baseball and the Chiefs for football. Basketball was trickier since there was no pro team nearby. I think the Chicago Bulls were the closest to us geographically, but the Kansas Jayhawks were in Lawrence, just a half hour from us, and they pretty much filled all the same fandom needs that a pro team would. Now, like a lot of things, that all changed when I went to Japan. At first, I remember trying to keep up in absurd ways, having my dad record football games and then mail me the tapes, but that stopped pretty quickly. The only game that NHK, which is the main Japanese television network, carried live was the Super Bowl, which, because of the time difference, their Sunday night game actually airs on early Monday morning Japan time. Some expats tried each year to get something going, but the morning vibe, along with the strangeness of the game being broadcast, but none of the commercials. A lot of the time, we were watching the players standing and waiting for ad breaks and eating like eggs or donuts or some morning food. I tried to get into some Japanese sports too. Went to a couple of Japanese baseball games. I tried to watch some sumo, but it wasn't until I moved to Hokkaido that a sport truly took hold of me again. Now, I'd have guessed that sport would have been skiing. I had liked skiing as a kid, and I had even tried to go skiing once in Japan, but they didn't have any boots in my size, so actually, I ended up spending my first ski trip in Japan just sitting while everyone else skied. When I applied for my next job in Japan, it was with the JET program, a program that places native English speakers into schools and town halls to help with language and culture exchange. But in order to get a position on JET, I had to go back to the US for an interview. I had put Hokkaido as one of my top choices, and I was keen not to have a repeat of my first Japanese ski trip. So there, during the hottest part of the summer, in Kansas, the flattest state in the US, I bought some ski boots in my size and hauled them back to Japan with me. I did end up getting placed on the northern island of Hokkaido. Very, very far north Hokkaido, actually, and I skied some, but my real sport was something we accidentally stumbled on during my first summer there, and that sport was park golf. I had lived in Japan for over a year in Kyushu, and it wasn't until I moved to Hokkaido that I even heard of park golf. And that's because even though park golf is an international sport, technically, it was invented in Hokkaido, Japan, and with the more spacious nature of Hokkaido compared to the other Japanese prefectures, that's where the vast majority of the courses are as well. Wikipedia tells me park golf started in 1983. Invented in the town of Makubetsu, Japan, which is also on the northern island of Hokkaido. although it also says the sport is like a cross between golf and croquet, which I think is off. There's no wickets or hitting other players' balls or anything. I'd say it's more like the midway point between regular golf and mini golf. You get to crack the ball when you hit it more than mini golf, and the ball is bigger, like a baseball or a billiards ball. So you have a much larger target than in normal golf, and you can put extra extra spin on the thing when you hit it. No spinning windmills or statues, but plenty of land and sand challenges. Rules run roughly the same as golf. You count your strokes for each hole and add them up at the end. Low scores are good and high scores are bad. That's all the same. Wikipedia also says the creators wanted it to be really accessible to everyone, so it's designed to be played with really simple equipment. For park golf, you only need one ball, one tee, and one club, making it cheap to play and to buy equipment for. Speaking of equipment, driving, chipping, and putting are all done with that same stubby club. I'd say the club looks like you took a regular putter shaft and handle, then shortened it and stuck the head of a driver on the end of it. I'm 6'1" and I hunch over a lot to get a good hit with one. Most Japanese people weren't that tall, especially the older Japanese people I would often see out playing park golf, and so they didn't have to hunch over nearly as much, but there still is more of a, well, I'll call it a hunch and whack style to hitting a park golf ball than the wind up and follow through of a regular golf swing. Meanwhile, what you're hitting is a hard plastic ball 60 millimeters wide, or about 2 3/8 inches. So that's just a little smaller than a tennis ball, which is 65 to 68 millimeters. Many are just a simple solid color. I started off with those, but I enjoyed splurging on one new ball to begin each new park golf season, and I eventually opted for something cooler. Maybe a ball with a marbleized color, or gold flecks that sparkle in the sun, or one where the outer plastic is clear, but you can see an inner complex geodesic dome structure inside of it, something like that. With the larger ball, it also makes sense that you would have a larger hole. The park golf hole is between 200 to 216 millimeters across, making it around 8 to 8.5 inches in diameter, pretty much twice as wide as the 4 1/4 inch hole for regular golf, which means we're dealing with a park golf hole that has 4 times as much area as a regular golf hole when you multiply it out. Holes are supposed to be limited to a maximum of 100 meters long. That's 109 yards, and a 9-hole course is supposed to total a maximum length of 500 meters, which is 547 yards. But I gotta say, I definitely played many courses in Hokkaido that exceeded both those limits, and some of my favorite courses were the longest and most sprawling. So I'm not sure how strictly they monitor that rule, but that is definitely one for official courses. Wikipedia notes that despite it being accessible for every age, there are a vast majority of the parkers, which is what it says park golf players are called, but that's literally my first time ever hearing that term. But it says that most of them, by far, are retirees, and I definitely can concur. But I also think there's a bunch of reasons why that is, and it doesn't seem so strange to me, really. First off, the best times to park golf were during times when non-retirees would be either at work or school. So it makes total sense that would become a spot where you'd see it as an activity for retirees during that time. Japan also has a strong culture of activities planned and available for its older population that doesn't so much exist in the United States. It's definitely built into the culture, but it's also built into Japanese society. A lot of care and attention gets paid to elder care and quality of life, so I also saw park golf being encouraged as an engaging physical activity, less demanding than actual golf for an older player, but it still got people outside walking, hitting, and socializing in fresh air. I would probably say the next largest group after older Japanese players were younger foreigner players. My data may be really skewed though, because every time I went park golfing, I saw a group of those. As a group, we rarely, but sometimes clashed with the oyajis, which is Japanese that translates to old man or old men, as we refer to the older Japanese players, who often did their own thing, but sometimes would jump in to help our group and let us know we weren't quite playing right. We'd thank them, but when they left, we'd go right back to what we were doing, which was play our modified version of the game. For example, there is an out of bounds referred to by players as OB, but when we played, unless there were other players nearby, there was no OB rule. If you could play it, you could play it. Something Oyajis really tisked at us if they saw it, but it was important for us because we had money riding on these scores. 100 yen a hole usually, with the possibility of going on a hot streak and winning enough for a meal paid for by your less lucky friend. And those meals, those were the most delicious kind. Hokkaido snow would start sticking to the ground in October, and then stay around on the ground until April, a full 6 months of snow. Playing park golf in the fresh Hokkaido air was an amazing way to spend the 6 non-snowy months outdoors. It was challenging enough to be continually fun, but easy enough to do with new people. The perfect pastime. For my job on JET, I was an assistant English teacher in my town's junior high schools, and I would often be done with work while students were still at school or doing after-school activities, with several hours of sunlight still left. So I would meet up with other teachers, we'd grab our clubs, and play whatever course was up next. We had favorites, but also anytime someone discovered a new course, it was a good enough reason to hit that one up next. And every town seemed to have at least one course. Usually more than one, usually way more. I think the first Hokkaido town I lived in had some nearby, but like with groceries, the best collection of park golf courses in the area were in the city of Naioro. There were a ton there, and really all the towns around too. The second Hokkaido city I lived in was where I really got into playing park golf more often, because there were over 20 different courses within a 15-minute radius of our spot in Takikawa. There were also courses set up and maintained by onsens and hot spring hotels all across the island. In fact, my all-time favorite course is at an onsen hotel in Kenbuchi, Hokkaido, where there are 36 holes up in the hills with just spectacular layouts and natural views of the local river valley. Another evolution to our Gaikokujin version of park golf was the jump tee. A normal park golf tee is a squat little cylinder about an inch tall with a wide base, all made out of this rubbery plastic. You only use it on your first shot like a normal golf tee, but unlike a normal golf tee, it doesn't really give you much lift at all. You could try to scoop up under it or pop it up, but it doesn't really give good lift no matter what you do. That's why we invented the jump tee. The jump tee's sole purpose was to give the park golf ball some lift, to let us pop it up and over instead of going around some obstacles like the course designers wanted us to. The jump tee was made from 2 or sometimes, rarely, 3 regular park golf tees stacked on top of each other, and then driving the ball while it's balanced atop this tower. It took some getting used to, and some harkening back to those long-dormant tee-ball skills, but the jump tee opened up our game vertically, and probably intensified the attachment we all felt to our special brand of this sport. And for 4 years, when there wasn't snow on the ground, I played it pretty regularly. Winter wasn't free of park golf activities, though. That's when the Oyajis would shed their old wares and get new ones, so that meant the start of a new type of season for me. Like I said before, park golf is a game where you only need one club, but some of the more well-offs or serious Japanese players like to make sure that they had a new one club each season. Eventually, new one clubs become backup one clubs, and backup one clubs become clutter, so they get taken to the recycle shop. This wonderful, magical, amazing place in Japan called the recycle shop. In the US, it would be called a used goods store or a thrift shop, like Goodwill or the Salvation Army, but again, like many things in Japan, it has a completely different feel than its American counterpart. Here in America, I think the thrift stores are looked at as sort of the last stop for something, like places without too much expectation or status. I think American thrift stores are probably ranked just a notch above a flea market, maybe. In Japan, though, the recycle shop seems like the first place things go, and you can find all manner of items there. from nice clothes, like really nice clothes, to electronics or furniture and interesting odds and ends to oftentimes very decently priced park golf equipment. Park golf balls were a different matter because there is some good distance to these holes. They got whacked around quite a bit, so I didn't see used balls often, and when I did see them, they were pretty banged up. This was another reason I would get a new one each year, especially since new ones were only like $10 to $20, or maybe $25 if you want to spring for something really nice, like the fancy ones I was describing. Now, recycle shops do not pay much for the stuff they buy from you. I could say that from many first-hand experiences, but you don't sell stuff to them to get rich. You do it for the love of the game, and because you got good gets from the recycle shop before, so when it's time to move your stuff, you just go there first. I mean, you hit up your friends first and try to offload stuff they might want for a decent amount, and then you take anything that they don't want to the recycle shop after that. But yeah, I'd scour recycle shops for clothes in my size, exercise equipment, tables, and chairs sometimes, but whatever reason I was there for initially, I'd always check for park golf equipment before I left, and collected a bunch of my own clubs and gear that way. Not so that I could have a set of clubs for me. Remember, this is a sport where you only need one club, but I got a bunch so that I had enough for a group of 4 or 2 groups of 4 to go out park golfing together. I mean, I also have a left-handed club, and I've never been left-handed. Not even a phase in college or anything. Some of the nicer park golf courses came complete with places to get scorecards and rent clubs and balls, which would usually only cost 500 to 1,000 yen, or like $5 to $10. If you brought your own equipment, it would be significantly cheaper or sometimes even just free. In that sense, I played enough that the used equipment I bought tended to pay for itself over the season just in saved rental fees alone. But the main reason I had my own clubs was because only some park golf courses were staffed. Many were just open, like places near riverbeds or in parks, and unstaffed, so you couldn't rent anything there, but as long as you brought your own equipment, you could play for free as much as you wanted. These were the places that we really haunted over and over until they became courses we knew well. Now, each one of my clubs has a little sticker on the shaft certifying that it complies with the official size restrictions for park golf equipment, and each of those stickers cites the power of the IPGA, which stands for the International Park Golf Association. Just like park golf spread over Hokkaido, it continued to spread across Japan, all the way down to Kyushu and Okinawa. As you'd expect, the more rural an area is, the more park golf courses it seems to have. The official ones are all members of the NPGA, or Nippon Park Golf Association. I don't know if this is at all needed, but Nippon is one of the ways to say Japan in Japanese. But what makes the International Park Golf Association international, of course, are the courses outside of Japan. I found a few different park golf courses in Korea, and also saw listed that there were courses in Sweden, Brazil, and Paraguay. It was hard for me to search in most of those countries because I don't know the language or what they might refer to park golf as, but there's only one in all of North America. On their map of officially registered courses, this course is actually the only one the IPGA even lists outside of Japan at all. It's in the United States, in Akron, New York. Akron is a small village in upstate New York, about 40 minutes from Buffalo and 45 from Niagara Falls. And it's the home of Destroyer Park Golf, the first park golf course in America. After I came back from Japan, I searched the internet for park golf in America and crossed my fingers that I could find a place to play in the US. That's how I first learned about Destroyer Park Golf. Now, I feel like I've traveled all over America except the Northeast. I've never been to New York or anywhere in the New England area, so it wasn't a place I could go in person. But when I decided on doing a park golf episode, Destroyer Park Golf was the perfect place to turn to. That's how I found myself one afternoon on a phone call to Akron, New York for an interview. could I get you to start off by introducing yourself for the podcast by saying your name and maybe your position there at Destroyer Park Golf?
Sure. Yeah, my name is Kris Beyer Jones, and I'm a co-owner of Destroyer Park Golf with my husband, whose name is Kris Jones.
Excellent. Well, hi, it's great talking to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good, thank you. It's beautiful out here for a change.
Oh yeah? What's the day look like out there today?
It's beautiful, it's sunny, clear skies, and about 78,
Oh,
and
my
not
goodness.
humid.
That does sound perfect, yeah.
For us, that is.
How did you first encounter park golf, if I can ask?
Yeah, I actually encountered it through my dad. He kind of brought the concept home with him from Japan. He's a professional wrestler named the Destroyer, and he's an avid golfer. On one of his tours to Japan, a friend introduced him to park golf, and he said, man, this would be great in the U.S. And came home with clubs and balls and put 2 holes up and down his front lawn.
That very much sounds like a person who puts his mind to something and then gets it done. That's incredible. So
yeah, it is.
So that actually answers what my next question would have been, which was, where does the name Destroyer Park Golf come from? And that sounds like from your dad's wrestling name, the Destroyer.
Yes, it does. So park golf obviously came from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to use better use of public park space. And my dad was a very famous wrestler, both in the U.S. and in Japan. And so we named it after him, and it's his legacy, so we can say.
Amazing. That's awesome. I love the name. Dick Beyer, Chris's dad, was a professional wrestler who was best known as his masked alter egos, the Destroyer and Dr. X, wrestling extensively in Japan against many of the other top names of the industry during the 60s and 70s. He was huge. I was looking at clips and interviews of the Destroyer and found people ranking him as the #1 masked wrestler of his time, and you can find great highlight reels of some of his matches on YouTube. The Destroyer passed away in 2019 at age 88, but a museum of his memorabilia and media from his decorated pro wrestling career is open in the clubhouse at Destroyer Park Golf, the perfect place for any fans of the Destroyer or Park Golf to visit. How long have you guys been open? When did Destroyer Park Golf first open?
We first opened in June of 2013.
Next year will be 10 years. Amazing.
Yeah, so this is our 10th season, but next year will be our, official 10-year anniversary.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. That is
Thank you.
Fantastic. So when you were opening it up back in 2013, was it difficult to find the right place to set up a park golf course?
Actually, that's probably the most interesting part of the story. Is my dad owned property out here in Akron.
Mm-hmm.
He owns about 81 acres of farmland that's becoming more and more residential. So we actually put it on part of the farmland that he owned.
Oh, okay.
So we had plenty of room, and we put up a new barn that became like, our machine shop as well as our pro shop area. We actually had the land, so that was very helpful.
So that's where it is now. That's so cool.
And that's where it is. We had to turn the farmland into nice course material, but other than that, we were very, very lucky to have the property.
So when is the normal park golf season there in Akron, New York, run from and to?
Yeah, so luckily for us, we've had the good example from Japan. Park golf started in the northern island of Japan, Hokkaido. They have exactly the same temperature that we do. Very similar as far as agriculture is concerned, cows, corn, butter, cheese, that kind of stuff. So we run pretty much the same calendar that they do in the northern island. We run from May until October.
Yeah, when I was looking up where you were, it was actually the same latitude as Sapporo, which is the capital city of Hokkaido.
Wow, yeah.
I know Japan loves their regulations. Is there a process where a Japanese park golf officials have to come out and regularly check your course out, or do you have to do anything to fulfill regulations or anything like that?
We chose to fulfill their regulations, and we did go through the entire process of having them actually certify our course. So we are the only sanctioned certified course actually in North America by the Japan Park Golf Association. We are a member of their association, but we also, myself and many of the business, kind of a wide range of people from the businesses that we know and interact with, formed a not-for-profit organization, the International Park Golf Association of America. And there is a website on that, www.ipgaa.com, where we are hoping, and we have been working towards helping people to open up park golf courses here in the U.S., but that meet the regulations of the Japanese traditional park golf.
That would be incredible, yeah. I had found in my research, that you guys were the only ones in America, the only ones in North America at all.
Yeah, there is actually one more. They had bought equipment from us, came out and checked up on our course, etc. And they're actually located in Ohio.
Oh, excellent.
But that's the only other 18-hole park golf course. It's at Hocking Hills RV Resort, and their name of their course is Worm Burners Park Golf.
And what part of Ohio is that in?
It's near Akron, Ohio.
Okay. Akron, New York, yeah. Akron, Ohio. So they're not, fascinating. Yeah,
but we actually have hosted everything from a wedding to a life celebration. This next weekend, we have a Jack and Jill party.
I mean, I got to admit, I would take pretty much any opportunity to get out on the links and play some park golf. So I can't blame people for using any reason as a reason to go out golfing.
Yes.
And there's just something about the way they've engineered it where it's just such a it's always such a satisfying when you get a good whack at it. It feels great. I don't know. I don't have a poetic way to describe it, but
no, but actually it's interesting that you say that because part of the design requirements for certified equipment for the ball is, bounce height, which I imagine would be the same for golf, but also sound. Like what decibel range that sound has to hit.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that's part of the process. That's really cool. How do you pitch the idea of park golf to someone who's never played before? Or how do you kind of hook a new person into it?
Yeah, I think that was the most difficult part of opening the first park golf course here in the U.S. is that trying to explain it is difficult. So really, it really takes a person to put a club in their hand and to hit the ball.
Right.
We tell them that it's like putt-putt on steroids, or that somebody's shrunk golf.
Yeah.
Anybody of any age can play. You still have to get the ball in the hole, so there still is the element of accuracy. And still for the first few years, actually up until the last couple of years, people are like, oh, I don't play golf. I'm like, okay, golf is in the name, but it's not golf, right? Or they're a seasoned golfer, and they're like, oh, yeah, whatever. You're basically talking about mini golf. When they cross over and they try it, to be honest, they're hooked.
And I think you're right that once you get someone to play a little bit, there's no more explanation needed. It explains itself right away.
Yeah, I agree. Probably the best advertisement that we've had. We advertised in the beginning, but again, very difficult to explain what park golf is in a TV ad, radio commercial, print ads. So we rely now on social media and word of mouth, almost 100%. A gentleman from a TV program called Adventures in Golf, he travels all over the world doing episodes on unique golf adventures, just like it sounds. And he came here and did an episode, and we have had so much traffic. The program is sponsored by United Airlines, so people have seen it on the United Airlines flight, and then they come here because they want to check it out.
It becomes a destination, exactly.
Yeah.
Very cool. Is there anything else I've forgotten to ask, or that you'd like to add, or anything at all?
Yeah, it's a great way for people to come out, enjoy an afternoon, out in a natural setting. That was part of Japan Park Golf's hope and mission, was that it would be a way for people to get out in nature and kind of feel that harmony with nature as they were able to enjoy a game with friends.
thank you so much for your time, and thanks for talking with us
absolutely.
about park golf.
Definitely, have your listeners check out our park golf site at destroyerparkgolf.com. And there's a great video on there of the TV program that I just told you about, and that will give you the best overview of park golf that you can imagine.
Fantastic. We'll send them there, destroyerparkgolf.com. Very cool. Thank you so much, Kris. I'll let you get back out to enjoying the perfect day. Does that sound all right?
Okay. Thank you so much, Scott, and thank you for taking the time to share, my dad's dream.
So it was great talking with Kris about their course out there at Destroyer and her dad and the sport itself. Be sure to check out their site at destroyerparkgolf.com, where they've done an amazing job of showing off their course, and you can see the video segment we talked about, which is about 9 minutes and really good, under the What is Park Golf tab. I also looked up the other park golf course she mentioned. It's called Wormburner Park Golf, and it's in Logan, Ohio, which is about 2.5 hours south of Akron. Their website is wormburnerparkgolf.com, and both courses have great websites and are very active on Facebook. Also, of course, if you're in or around Akron, New York, or Logan, Ohio, think about getting a group of friends or family together and treat yourselves to a nice day outside playing a round or two of park golf, the surprising king of all sports. Oh, and while I had Kris on the phone missing a nice day outside, I had one final question. I know I gave you a heads up that I wanted to ask something a little weird, and here it is. If there was a word, and I mean there's probably not, but if there was a word like a secret code word between golf course owners that you say to them and then they let you play park golf on a regular golf course, and I'm not saying there is a word like that. In fact, I'm saying there's probably definitely not a word like that, but hypothetically, if there was, what do you think or imagine that word might be? Or is there a word that you would put in that answer?
Yeah, the definite word that I would put in that answer is destroyer.
Destroyer.
Yeah, that's the word I would definitely use.
Okay, thank you.
And it does not exist, but I think that we should start something.
No, I'm saying I believe you. It doesn't. Wink. I understand. Wink, wink. So I should probably explain that. I know it's weird, and I know I'm weird, but that's just like a little more than my usual level, right? Well, there's a 90s sitcom I've always loved called News Radio. It was about a bunch of people working in a news radio station, hence the name. And there's an episode in season 3, episode 15, titled Rose Bowl. It aired February 5th, 1997 on NBC. The A story in Rose Bowl is about the employees evaluating each other's performance, and it's great. Typical hilarious news radio stuff. But the reason I'm bringing this episode up is because of the B story. In this plotline, the station's eccentric billionaire owner, Jimmy James, played by Stephen Root, brings in a box of stuff to show station manager Dave, played by Dave Foley.
Hey, Dave, what you doing?
Oh, just doing some editing on the...
What's that? Just itching to take a look at some Hollywood movie memorabilia?
No, actually, I'm doing some editing.
Oh, okay, you win. Memorabilia it is.
Well, thanks, sir. You don't normally give in so easily.
Yeah, well, I'm feeling generous because I just bought a whole box of this movie memorabilia stuff from a big collector. Hey, did you ever see 10 Commandments?
Just about once a year.
Oh, yeah? All right. Get ready. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
All right. The original stone tablet Charlton Heston carried in the 10 Commandments.
This one's way smaller.
Oh, yeah, I thought it would be bigger than that.
Yeah, I think they used some special effects on it.
Yeah?
Here's the other one.
Uh-huh.
And the second tablet he pulls out is a completely different size and color.
We are talking about the 10 Commandments of Charlton Heston, aren't we?
Hell, I don't know. I never seen it.
It's obvious that Jimmy has bought a box of fake movie memorabilia, but Dave has to tell him that because he's oblivious. So in this next scene, Jimmy James is sitting in the break room with the station fix-it guy, Joe Garelli, played by a young Joe Rogan. And if you're familiar with podcasts, yes, it's that Joe Rogan. But Jimmy and Joe hatch a plan.
Okay, that's it. I am taking him to court.
Well, I guess if anybody's got the legal team to pull it off, you do.
No, my lawyers would laugh me out of court. No way I'm telling them about this. No, I will be representing myself.
I don't know, sir. You know what they say. The man who represents himself as a fool for a client.
Yeah, well, who do you suggest?
Me.
Excellent. Me and Joe were talking about the legal system. See, I'm suing the guy that ripped me off for this stuff.
Yeah? All right, well, when you're done, Joe, I need you out there and
I'm not
fix
gonna be done for a while. I'm Jimmy's lawyer. Besides, Jimmy's case is in the bag, 'cause we know something that the other side doesn't.
Mm-hmm, what's that?
That all federal, state, and local judges are members of a certain obscure sect of the Freemasons.
Now, hold on. Our strategy is that all judges are Masons?
Well, there's more to it than that.
Like what?
Well, there's a secret Masonic word which, when uttered, obligates judges to rule in your favor. Then they have to go paddle each other off in a secret cave somewhere.
And what's that?
I could tell you, but then I have to kill you.
Okay, but it better be good.
Can't do it, Joe.
Now, clearly you're in good hands. Counsel, good day.
Good day.
Wait a minute. You're basing my whole case on some silly secret word?
Mr. James.
Come on, Joe, give it up.
Tubal Cain.
Tubal Cain? Sorry.
Tubal Cain? What the hell does that mean? I have no idea.
Yeah, that's great, Joe, but let's practice my strategy, all right?
And so that was what made me ask Kris the question about if there was a word I could say to do the same thing for me in my quest. How does it turn out for Jimmy and Joe in court, though?
Would Jimmy James please approach the bench? And this would be your counsel?
Yes, I am. The master builder awaits the pyramids.
I beg your pardon?
I bet you do.
Okay, and would the defendant please approach the bench?
Okay, this is the guy that sold me the stuff. He just stay cool, because he's a real shark. Hello, Kyle.
I've never seen this dude before in my life.
And the gag here is that he's just a teenager. Jimmy and Joe proceed to put on a terrible and incoherent case, and here's what the judge has to say to them at the end.
You have successfully proven that you have a large box full of junk. I applaud you. Not since the People versus Junkyard Jones has a box full of junk been quite so thoroughly documented. In fact, if I were this young man, I would countersue you for reckless prosecution and for defamation of character and for just generally wasting everybody's time. Do you have anything to say in your defense?
Tubal Cain.
I hereby find in favor of the guy with the box full of junk, and I sentence the kid to 1 month in a juvenile ward for psychiatric evaluation. Court adjourned.
The judge marches past the shocked courtroom as the bailiff puts the kid in cuffs, giving Joe and Jimmy the sudden win. And that concept just stuck around in my brain all this time, clearly. Some things just worm their way into my brain, and then they stay there forever. I've remembered the nonsense word Tubal Cain for decades now. I guess similarly to how I remember the crack of hitting a park golf ball so vividly too. In Takikawa, the closest park golf course to where we lived was one of my favorites, but exploring Hokkaido and finding new courses was part of the fun of it all. We would go all over and try out any course we came across. Park golf was a part of where we traveled, where we camped, and where we went to the onsen. At my peak, I was probably playing 18 holes with friends after work 3 to 4 times a week, and usually one, if not both, the weekend days. It was, fortunately, something I shared in common with my girlfriend, with my guy friends, with my northern friends, and with my musical friends. Oh, yeah, I was part of a stage musical we put on in Hokkaido, but that's a different story. When my parents came to visit me in Hokkaido, I went with my dad, and he enjoyed it so much that for Christmas that year, I gathered up a set of my recycle shop clubs and got them back to the States for him as a present. What Dad ended up doing was making use of an existing disc golf course that was set up where he lived. He would play there when it wasn't being used for disc golf. I couldn't really imagine how that worked when my dad first told me it, but partly because I hadn't ever played disc golf before. Disc golf spaces your tee-off place a good distance away from your target for the hole, which is a large metal basket with a series of chains around the upper part to snare discs that hit it. The disc in disc golf is a frisbee-like disc you use to throw at the basket, eventually getting it in. My dad was going down to the disc golf course at the nearby college, and hitting park golf balls on it, going hole for hole, teeing off at the tees, and having his standard for completing the hole be hitting the pole with the park golf ball. I honestly didn't really understand how disc golf worked until I played it myself for the first time on a vacation to Missoula, Montana one summer. It turns out I really liked it. I enjoyed being outdoors, and the game, while challenging and me being not particularly good at it, never reached the wrong side of frustration where things just shift from simply challenging to fully unpleasant. I think I took that and added it to what I knew about myself and golf, which is that I don't like regular golf, but I like mini golf, and I always have. I'd had many a childhood mini golf birthday party, family mini golf night, and teenage mini golf date. Well, maybe not many of that last one, but a few. I like mini golf because it's about golf a little, but it's also open for button mashers, like a video game, where I feel if I just bounce it off enough angles, maybe it'll find the perfect through line and get into the hole. I love putt-putt mini golf, but I don't like regular golf. That's just how it is. And then I tried park golf and I loved it. It is a mix of mini golf and golf, but it must be closer to mini golf because I love park golf and I love mini golf, but I don't like regular golf. That's just how it is. And then I tried disc golf and I loved it. So then now I love mini golf and park golf and disc golf, but I don't like regular golf. Though, am I sure of that? Truth be told, I actually haven't ever played a game of regular golf. Like, never. I just assumed I wouldn't like it, and never tested that theory, even when I tried and loved every single other kind of golf I've encountered. I've practiced putting, I've been to a driving range a handful of times, I've spent an hour trying to make my Tiger Woods character as close to me as the game allows, but I'd never played a real game of regular golf. So I started asking people around me if anyone would be interested in playing a game of golf sometime. I think this is where the divide happens with most real golf players. They can't fathom me wanting to go out without practicing a bunch, and I really just want to play one round of golf to, more than anything else, say I've done it. So I'm not worried if I go out there and do awful. It's more just a matter of finding the perfect person to humor me while I'm being awful. All right, so I hit record, and I'm in the car now with Jeff. Oh, am I allowed to use your name?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right.
I'm all over the internet.
I'm in the car with my friend Jeff Clemens, and we are on our way to golf, for me, for the first time ever. So, and my secret sub plan is to see at some point if I can get the park golf equipment out and do some park golfing on the regular golf course. So I went with Jeff. He's a longtime friend. I met him and his wife when they were also in Takikawa, Japan, teaching English. Jeff's a great guy anyway, and he's a real-life Canadian on top of that, making him just about the nicest golf partner I could ever hope to find for my first round of golf ever. He lives with his family in Calgary, Canada, but they had stopped by Oakland to see us for a few days on their way back home from Comic-Con in San Diego this year. Lake Chabot Golf Course. There we are, yeah. Okay, so let's get our stuff out. All right, so we head into the clubhouse, I assume.
Thank you. No problem. Hello.
Hello.
What can I do for you?
Checking in for a tea time.
Where? This is our first time at this course.
Yeah, if you go down this ramp, across the street where it says cart return, that's going to be the first thing on the left.
Sweet, thank you.
Thank you. No problem.
Turn left, I think this is it, yeah.
Because
Is that the hole there?
That's the hole.
That's not not very far at all.
No, we're playing because we're on a par 3. It'll be a little bit shorter.
All right, so we're on a par 3.
Yeah.
That's a thing that means something to golfers, but I'm learning.
So par is based on how long the hole is.
Sure.
So if the course is a shorter, like a par 3 course, like we're on, all the holes are shorter.
So they're saying par 3 on here, as in like maybe you drive it. Maybe your second shot you get it closer, and your third shot you put it in. Ideally, in a perfect world.
The ideal with a par 3 is that your first shot goes on the green,
Oh,
and you're
okay.
second, and then you take 2 putts.
That's a lot of pressure. Okay.
So that's how it always. That's the idea.
Okay.
And so the hope is that you can get a birdie.
Birdie is 1 under par.
Birdie is 1 under par.
See, I do know these terms from Park Golf.
This is the Lake Chabot Golf Course, about 10 minutes away from the studio. It's a par 3, and when we got there, it really looked sort of like a park golf course. Lake Chabot has a larger 18-hole course, but the 9-hole course is a total of 1,023 yards, making it a short course in terms of regular golf, which I guess is just what a par 3 course means to golf folk, but I was still learning.
So do you want to lead off?
I guess so.
Or do you want me to?
No, I'll do it. I'll do it. So I'm gonna pull out my driver.
You probably want more like a 3-wood or a 5-wood.
I have a 3-wood or a 5-wood. 3-wood.
Because you won't hit quite as far.
I mean, I'm not gonna hit that far anyway. Oh my gosh, this is nerve-wracking. Okay, hitting my first shot off of hole 1. Okay. All right. Hit it. I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is. About halfway to the hole. Yeah. Okay. All right, so I should back away while Jeff hits his first shot. He's using, what club are you using?
I'm using a 9-iron.
A 9-iron, which is what he said I should use next. Whoa, nice. Much farther, a beautiful bounce, gave you back toward the green. Beautiful shot, very nice.
Good first shots.
Yeah.
The ting of hitting the ball was very satisfying. I remembered that being the case from driving ranges years ago, and indeed it is still the same. So we continued to play the first couple of holes.
There we go. Chip, 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 chip. Oh, yep, too hot. I didn't know I had that kind of power with this. Okay, cool. Right. Way too weak. 6. All right. Okay, and how do we know where number 2 is?
I see this.
Oh, beautiful. I see. Gotcha. Okay, here we are. Right up the hill. Okay. Good advice, thank you.
And you cranked that one.
I felt good. I can see the allure, like that ting is really,
really satisfying.
It's really fun and satisfying, yeah, for sure. I feel like,
A little more backswing. There you go.
I feel like I'm more tended to overhit it than underhit it, but let's see.
Come on, come on, come on.
Got onto the green and it didn't go past. I'm happy with that. Boop, boop.
Oh.
Boom! Get in the hole. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 4. I'm happy. That's 1 over. Ooh, nice, nice, nice. Jeffrey, that is a beautiful putt.
Dang.
Very nicely
This
done.
was a hole for putting.
Yeah. Okay, so that's
the hole. This one's a little
the
further.
farthest one yet, yeah?
Yeah, this one's 150 holes.
Should I get the driver out?
I'd use your 3 again. You're hitting real good with it.
Oh man. I'm itching to try that driver out sometime.
You
Okay,
could. I mean,
no.
you could use it.
Beep. 162. This is the longest one. Well, this is the one I gotta try it out.
Yeah, this is one you gotta try.
If I'm gonna use my driver, I gotta try it here. Okay. That's the, is it a 1?
It's a 1.
The 1 wood?
The 1.
Is it, so how is this different? Are they longer handles or are they bigger, a bigger head?
It's different loft and elevations.
Oh, I see that. Like it's pitched at a different angle.
So this one won't get as much height, but it gets a whole lot more direction.
Boomph. Oh, okay.
So,
all right, let's try it out. And here we go. First shot with the driver. A little hop, skip, jumper up there. I'm happy with that. It went right up the middle.
that was perfect.
I'm okay. That might be the only shot I hit with this club.
That was the only shot I hit with that club. And then Jeff wisely noted that we were sort of away from any prying eyes or other players and pointed out that this could be a pretty good spot for some ulterior motiving.
Where I want to hit a par golf ball?
I think we might be putting behind us.
I will hit a par golf ball here. Would you like to hit a par golf ball, Jeff? Here you are.
Thank you.
And here I are.
And I have 2 clubs, neither of which I have any attachment to anymore, so whichever you like. Works.
Oh, I remember this one from the one with the...
Yeah, I haven't gotten any new ones recently, I have to say. Okay, so here... Oh, I have not done this in so long. Here we go, park golf. Now that's a satisfying crack to me. Dude, the crack, I gotta get a little, I'm just gonna stand a little close to you so I can hear your hit. Nice! Oh, that was beautiful. Look at that shot.
And as satisfying as that ting was on the golf club, the crack of that park golf ball, the first one I've hit in years, was actually far, far more satisfying, I have to say.
All right. So now that we're, I guess I hit my park golf first. All right. Oh, it is so nice to be playing park golf. A nice little crack right over there toward the hole. Slow down and I'm okay with that. All right, and then 9 iron is probably for my regular.
Yeah, nice chip up on there.
There it is. All right, chip this over. Oh, went a little sideways, but it is kind of weird adjusting for the 2 different hits. It's a really nice hit. All right. Park golf time. Oh, so close. If that was a regulation park golf sized hole, that would probably have, of course. Okay. This is the first test to see how well it, I mean, it's definitely a smaller hole than a park golf hole, but I mean, it works. Jeff, we just played a hole of park golf in America. Oh, there's people behind us. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't think we should do that on every hole, but that was a good one for it. No, good call. That was good.
I was like, there's no one behind us. This is the time.
That was the time. And if there's not another time, then we at least got it. Oh, that was satisfying.
On the longest hole, too?
That was very satisfying.
I'm pretty sure Jeff and I had just played the first hole of park golf that has ever been played in California. Actually, probably on the whole West Coast. We continued on to the next hole.
This one looks fun.
This is a steep down, so there's like a square platform up top, and then way down there is the hole. There's a lot of elevation between us where it's down elevation. Why can't I talk about stuff? It's down elevation. I know, my brain is malfunctioning because I got to hit the park golf ball. So there's the pin, here we are. Okay, cool. Here we go, don't hit it all the way left and keep my head down. If you can see it, it's gonna roll down the hill, but that's okay. I can find that. Yeah. Have to say this would also be really satisfying to hit a park golf ball. I might do that. All right, I'm doing this. It's too tempting. Okay, this is just too tempting not to launch it off of this. All right, let's see. There we go. Nice. Oh, so lovely. And that's a beautiful shot. Man, I'm so much better with the park golf club than I am with a regular golf club. I've a lot more practice for sure. All right, how do we get down there now? To be fair, the really fun part of hitting the park golf ball was the initial shot on that one. Just being able to crack it off of that. I felt I was going to be unstoppable with that one. I had to hit it there.
I had to look for my first hit and eventually wrote it off as a gift to the out-of-bounds gods and took a drop to continue. But by that time, the party behind us had caught up, so I just finished the hole for my regular golf ball and not my park golf ball. We just played regular golf after that, which went pretty so-so, with the one exception of this hole.
Now, do I want to not hit my wood because I've been cranking it with that? Should I try the 9?
Try the 9. Yeah, maybe go for the like a 7.
Okay. I've never seen you use the 7. How is the 7 different than a 9?
A little less loft. So
Okay.
You get a little more distance.
Oh, all right. Let's see here.
Nice.
That felt good. What? That was a legit good hit.
That was amazing.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
On the green, like,
like a real thing.
This one.
I'm happy with that. That looks like it's a real thing. I'm gonna hit my 2, about 20 feet away here. All right, let's give this a shot. Nope. It's my 3. Par. That's right. The most impressive golf highlight I have is of me achieving the average. Whoa. Okay, so I liked the club I used.
Yeah, that was good. That iron.
Should I try that again, maybe?
Well on you.
7 iron?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not against it. I had good results until I have one bad hit with it, and then I'll be like, yeah, forever. You are banished.
He's the worst club in the world.
So this is 7. We have 3 left.
Yeah.
This is enjoyable.
That's gonna go good.
Yay. All right, I'm happy with that. Take a 7. Yat. I don't need to take my scorecard home and burn it or anything. I'm not ashamed of how I've done.
First round.
I'm fine with this. 9 holes. This is what everyone was talking about. Golf. This is golf. And then, a mere 80-ish minutes after we started, Jeff and I found ourselves at the 9th hole, the final one for this course. What do you think? 9 from here, or
Probably 9.
9 iron?
You're hitting them pretty.
The irons are. I'm with you on this iron thing.
They're easier to control.
It's doing me well. All right, here we are. Man, I didn't get much of it. Okay, now I need one more piece because I intend to do 2 things here. Because this is hole 9, and I'm doing the park. The guys aren't even on our tail yet, so here I go. I'm gonna hit this park golf ball on hole 9. Oh, that one felt great. Dude, that just feels so good. Hitting that ball, I mean, even just back to back with the golf, it's just, there's no comparison. They've done something with the park golf ball that has made it so satisfying to hit. I saw my park golf ball. It's a beautiful shot. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll see it when it gets up there.
At this point, if we got kicked off, it's not really.
Yeah, exactly. I figured the risk now is very low. All right, so I'm still looking at my 9. Is that right? Probably.
Or pitches.
I don't. Do I have a P? I have a P.
Use your P.
I have a shot.
That'll go up a little higher.
All right. Using the P club. P. There we go. Do you have to say P when you hit it?
Yeah, just like park door.
All right, let's see. P. Oh, that was nice. That does go up. That's very satisfying.
Real nice.
Okay. Zing zang. Not mad at that. Now there's a park golf ball out here somewhere.
Oh, it's right in front of me. Whoa.
Okay, great. I was happy with my shot, and that is why. I'm gonna level up this park golf ball first. Now that is about as straight as I could have hoped for. About 30 feet. Too hot, but right on the money as far as aim, pretty much. If that had been a park golf sized hole, that could have gone in. And then I've got little park golf business here to finish. There we go. In the hole, ninth hole of the course. Lake Chabot.
We did it.
We did it. All right, I'll grab my stuff. We'll get out of their way and then go tally up, I guess. That was really pleasant, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's really fun. All right, so do we have to go back in or anything? We just leave?
We're good.
Well, there you go. What I loved about Park Golf is so many of the places were free, or if anything, they were like, I don't know, 500 yen.
Yeah, super.
And you're like, okay, that's way affordable. So the end result of the course is a par 27.
Yeah.
You shot a 40. I shot a 49.
It's really good for your first round.
I'm not mad at a 49.
Well, so did you enjoy your first?
I really did. That was really enjoyable. Thanks you as well. I think you were the right person to go with because there was no frustration or pressure at all. And you had great advice for me. And yeah, that was really fun. Also, Park Golf, so my shenanigans with wanting to hit a little Park Golf aren't quite as ridiculous with you. No, I think that turned out really well. How about you?
I really enjoyed it.
And we are pulling up back into home after successfully completing my first round of golf ever. Couldn't have gone better, I have to say. I'm so happy with that. Thank you so much, Jeff.
That was super fun. Thanks for letting me be part of it.
Oh man, thank you. And let me stop recording it and hopefully this all turns out. Bye-bye. All right, so we're back here at the house. It's been a few hours since the golf, and I'm here with Jeff on the mic. Thanks for coming out with me. I had a lot of fun. I hope it wasn't like awkward for you at all, but that was a lot of fun for me.
It was great fun. Like when you first suggested, like, hey, I want to go golfing for the first time, I was like, oh yeah, I totally would be in for that. Like that's something I would 100% do.
And I got to do, I want to say 2.5 holes as park golf holes as well. They were all worked out well. So I was pretty chuffed about it. I was pretty happy. So you lived in Hokkaido as well with us. That's where we met. Yeah. And we played a lot of park golf. Do you have like a comparison between golf and park? You had played golf before park golf, obviously. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on park golf? How did you enjoy or how did you discover it, or what do you remember, I guess?
Well, so you were actually the one that taught us park golf.
Oh, really? Did I drag you out there?
You were the first one that said.
That sounds right.
It was pretty much the same as how we ended up doing golf this time. You're like, let's do something awesome. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I'm going to say yes because you said it's awesome. I feel like that could go very poorly at some point here.
Totally
like,
could.
Hey, let's do this. It's awesome. Sure, I'll do it. And it could go terrible. It hasn't yet, but
turns out it's robbing a bank, and I think that's awesome. And you just committed a felony.
Yeah, but I mean, we're Canadians, so we'll just go up. We'll all go up.
International crime is people love it.
Totally the thing to do. But yeah, you took us out, and we went as all of the foreigners. And I mean, the interesting thing about being a foreigner is like you're like, oh, you speak English and I speak English. Mm-hmm. We're friends.
We have an instant connection.
We are instantly friends. Like,
right. We're both experiencing this like completely different sort of thing that you never had before. So you're tied together on that like core level with everyone you meet who's a foreigner, and you're just like, oh, and you can go from there, and then that's a great bouncing board to start a friendship, I feel.
Yeah, and so you said you've got to try this, and we said okay, and we gathered together all the first time we went was in it was the town next to us. I think it was the one where the fox is all the time on the course.
Shintotsukawa. That was our favorite. That was one of our favorite ones. Yeah.
And so you all took us over to Shintotsukawa, and you were like, okay, there's this giant ball. This is the ball. Mm-hmm. And we're going, okay. And here's the club. It's some weird combination of a putter and a driver together.
Yep.
And we just hit the ball into the hole in the least strokes possible. And it was that moment. This is golf.
Yeah.
But it was also free there. Or I think free.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. If you had your own equipment and you showed up, you just play. Yeah. It's just there to be played on.
Which, it was that moment. It's like, okay, let's do park golf. And so we play. I think we played 2 rounds that day. And so like we went to all these different courses, and it was a great way to see these little towns.
Mm-hmm.
And then also all of you had these cool things in each of those little towns that you had traveled per park golf.
We'd found little,
and then you had found something cool in that town. Like you're like, oh hey, we're gonna drive to this town, but we're gonna stop at this roadside
this weird
place.
Yeah.
And we're gonna eat corn dogs, but they're called American dogs.
Yeah.
And they're phenomenal.
Okay, I want to break in here for a second. I know that corn dog. This is from years ago, and I know the exact corn dog he's talking about. It's from this highway food stand in Mikasa, a small town just north of Sapporo that we would pass by when we were going there. But he's right. This place served the best corn dogs I've ever had, and I grew up in the Midwest going to county fairs and old settlers days every summer, so that's actually an incredibly high bar. I've even been thinking about making an entire episode about corn dogs, and I still might, but this corn dog in Mikasa was the real deal. So much so that before I became a vegetarian, and I was a vegetarian for 6 years, I did a training wheels period of like 6 months before leaving Japan where I was completely vegetarian except for 2 things, and one of them was corn dogs from Mikasa. Okay, back to my conversation with Jeff.
And like as we traveled around playing park golf, we had these cool other experiences. So
yeah, but that's awesome. I definitely used park golf as an excuse to travel around the island, and used traveling around the island as an excuse to park golf. Like it was just once we owned our own clubs, once we got some at the recycle shop, and I had like a set where I'm like, we could play with 4 people or 8 people or whatever. Then it was like, it's on. Anytime we can find a course, we'll just hop out. And
you were always the ringleader for it. You'd always be like, hey, let's do park golf.
I don't think there was a day that I wouldn't be like have been down for park golf. It was pretty much a bottomless cup for me.
Well, it was we'd be like, hey, what do we want to do today? And you'd be like, park golf. Just immediately park golf. And yeah, okay, cool. Where? I don't know. And it wasn't always you would have the answer of where, but it would be like all of these foreigners together and be like, what are we going to do? Park golf.
Yeah. Oh, golf in general, we talked a lot about, but is there anything else? Did you have any other thoughts on just golf in general? Since you've had a longer history of golf than I have, for sure. Mine's hours old.
I mean, I think I've been lucky enough now to experience multiple people their first time going golfing, and the first time because taking my daughter out. And
okay, how did I do compared to other people?
You definitely did better than a 7-year-old.
No. Okay.
You did better than a 7-year-old. Okay. You actually did really good for a first time. And I'm not just being nice. This isn't just being Canadian.
I wasn't ashamed of my performance, I'll tell you. I was okay with that.
It was very consistent. Like you hit very straight, which I think is probably the park golf.
Probably. The compliments are nice, but the real reason I was riding high at that moment was that I had just gotten to do something that I had been joking about for years, but really actually wanted to try. I played my first round of golf. Golf. Not a thing I think I'll do very regularly, but I'd definitely be down to go again sometime. I'd be far more than down if I knew I could slip in some more park golf, though. Jeff and I even talked about this on our drive home.
But I'm glad you enjoyed it.
No, that was really fun. Good first golf experience. I don't know that it like hooked me to the point where I'm itching to get out there on the green again, but that was really fun. I mean, the lure of being able to go out and hit a park golf ball would maybe get me out there on the green sometime soon.
And you really good on that course.
That course you could use.
I wonder, like, I feel like that course, of any course, could definitely, like, I bet you could ask them. You'd probably be fine with it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That has some potential. So a little while later, I asked my friend Alex if he'd be up to try something new. And the two of us headed back to the Lake Chabot golf course with only one club each. Hello.
Hi, can I help you?
Yeah, I just had a weird question for you, kind of. I was here last week playing golf on the 9-hole course, and I really liked it. I noticed it looked kind of perfect for another thing called park golf. Have you ever heard of this?
I've not heard of it.
Okay, it's a Japanese sport, but I'll show you. It's like kind of like the same as golf, except it's got, here, you can check it out.
you just use one club.
This is Omar I'm talking to, and now I'm handing him my club so he can examine it for himself.
The balls are big. And so I was wondering if I could do greens fees and then go out and play park golf through the course instead of Frisbee golf or regular golf. And also Destroyer. I don't know if that... There might... Whatever.
I mean, if it's just like regular golf and you just get
Yeah.
a ball and it's
Shouldn't mess anything up.
I don't think it should be an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we do that then? Can I get 2 greens fees or whatever?
Yeah, for sure.
Can we do that? Thank you.
And can I get last name and first name for both players, please?
Uh-huh. Maupin, Maupin.
I paid for the round and we were out the door a second later.
All right. Got in, got the permission, got out, yep.
So what's the Destroyer thing about? Also, Destroyer.
All right. Yeah, okay.
So I explained the whole news radio and secret word thing Kris had given me to Alex. I hadn't told him about it first because I was really nervous and I genuinely wasn't sure if I was going to back out of doing it at the last minute or not. We made our way to the first tee and I set up to hit first, about to play park golf on this par 3 regular golf course.
All right. So my goal is to get a good crack from here. And you kind of have to hunch over. It's just weird, but it's super fun. That is great.
Now, I recorded it before, and it's still good on this mic, but this time, since I was playing with permission, I had brought a better device to really capture the sound of the crack. Here is that same shot I just hit, but from my field recorder.
It's super fun.
Oh man, did you hear that? Whew. I love that sound. Next up was Alex, hitting a park golf ball for the first time ever.
Yeah, you can set it up anywhere and just give it a nice crack. Yeah. Nice. That's all good. That's all good. We'll find that.
He hit it off into the woods beside the fairway, which he went and got and then re-hit much straighter. But even so, once again, listen to the perfect sound that the field recorder captured of his first hit.
We'll see how this goes.
Nice. That's all good. That's all good. We'll find that.
We proceeded to play the 9 holes out, and we got to satisfyingly hit the park golf ball tons of times. Tons and tons of times, actually, because we're not great, and it took us a while to get it into each hole.
Nice.
While also experiencing more than a few near misses due to the hole being a quarter of the size that it should be, comparatively.
And if you play like 18 holes of real golf, that's like a whole day right there.
Yeah, and it's like each course, I mean, each hole is usually like probably twice as long. What?
Yeah, that would have been nice.
That would have been, that counts in a real,
Right, yeah,
that counts in the sport we're technically playing.
Right.
I keep expressing that same sentiment. I think if I become a regular park golf on golf course player, that's going to be something I'll just have to make peace with. Okay, so now I'll get back to our round at the end of the 9th hole.
Last shot, hopefully last shot on the last hole. All right. And that's a round of park golf.
Yeah.
We are the first people to play a round of park golf on the western coast.
You don't think anyone else just, you know?
Did what we just did? No, I don't. No, I don't. I think we are the first. I think my buddy and I were the first ones to hit park golf on the entire probably Pacific coast.
Yeah.
And I think we were the first ones to play nine holes.
Nice.
If someone, I'll put out a call. If someone else played 9 holes, please let me know. But
I mean, I definitely never heard of it before.
No?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? What's your opinion of park golf?
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I liked it. I
Middle.
don't really have anything to compare to because I've never played regular golf.
Fair.
So, but yeah, it was fun. It was cool.
Right on. Well, thank you for coming out with me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
Woohoo!
I mean, I'm the first person to do that in the entire Pacific time zone ever. Wow. Amazing. Am I glowing? Can you tell? Do microphones hear glowing? Hey, it's probably not all that different from how Neil Armstrong felt walking on the moon. Well, actually, Destroyer Park Golf should be Neil Armstrong. I guess we would be Buzz Aldrin then. Wait, no. Worm Burner in Ohio would be Buzz. Okay, then Michael Collins. I mean, I'll take that. The Park Golf Michael Collins? Oh, you mean Scott Moppin? Yeah, I've been called worse. And with that, Park Golf becomes the next entry into the Perfectorium, the index of perfect things. Go to the show's website, perfectshowpodcast.com, to see pictures and videos related to this in each episode. For this one, I'll have pictures of my equipment, me playing golf, and a video of my awkward but effective swing, and more. You can see all the entries to the Perfectorium at the direct link for it, perfectshowpodcast.com/perfectorium. Special thanks to Kris Beyer Jones, Jeff Clemens, and Alex Yocum for being on this episode and putting up with a large dose of my nonsense. Visit Destroyer Park Golf in Akron, New York, or at destroyerparkgolf.com. Visit Worm Burner Park Golf in Logan, Ohio, or at wormburnerparkgolf.com. Find the Japanese Park Golf Association at parkgolf.or.jp. They have an English section, so you can read it in either Japanese or switch it all to English. And the International Park Golf Association of America, you can find at ipgaa.com. You can find all that info and the links for all the music artists in the show notes and on this episode's webpage. As always, if you'd like to contact the show, you can email perfectshowshow@gmail.com and connect on Twitter, YouTube, or Instagram to the name Perfect Show Show. This episode was recorded and mixed at Morena Studios in Oakland, California. Again, I'll remind you of the very obvious fact that I don't make these on a set schedule, so subscribing via your favorite pod portal really is the best way to get every episode. And if you are enjoying these and want to drop us a rating and review, please do. It's the easiest way to support the show. I asked for new reviews last episode and that worked, so I'll do it one more time. Ratings and reviews help people find the show, and I'm hoping for that to become the #1 way people discover this podcast, taking over from what is currently #1, which is me hitting them up with a call or text saying, "Hey, I have a podcast. Would you be able to help me out with something for it?" Also, if you do know me in person, we can just find some grass somewhere with a bit of space, and I'll let you try out hitting the park golf ball a few times, because if you just give it one good crack, you'll understand everything immediately. And remember, there's no such thing as a secret word that just automatically helps things go your way. Not in court and not in golf. That's definitely not a thing. But, I mean, just in case, let me cover my bases here one more time real quick. Abracadabra, Tubal Cain, Destroyer, Candyman. Alright, I think that's it. Cool. Anyway, until next time, I'm Scott Moppin, and thanks for listening to The Perfect Show.
I can eat 50 eggs.